Hey, fight fans, John Franklin here at the UFC on Fox 13 weigh-ins for Cage Pages here in Phoenix, Arizona. We're at the convention center. Weigh-ins went great. Everybody made weight except for Nate Diaz. He made 160. No one seemed to really care. Nate's head's been all over the place recently, so who knows where he stands with the UFC. Hopefully it's in the UFC moving forward, but you never know. All right, let's get to the card. Main event of the evening is Junior Dos Santos versus Stipe Miocic. It's the number 2 ranked fighter against the number 5 ranked fighter. Both guys have looked good recently. Miocic, he's got wrestling, he's got hands, he's got the complete package. He can do everything that Cain Velasquez can do, just not as well as Cain Velasquez can. So the question becomes, does he have what it takes to beat Junior Dos Santos? I personally think that he does not. Junior Dos Santos is very Chuck Liddell-like, but at the heavyweight division, he finds a way to stay on his feet, he finds a way to throw those hands, and he usually more often than not is going to drop guys. I think that he may be able to find a way to find Miocic's chin in this one, or at least keep Miocic at bay. I don't think Miocic can finish Dos Santos. I think Dos Santos can finish Miocic. So what I'll do in this one is I'll take Junior Dos Santos to get his hand raised at the end. On to the lightweight division, we have Rafael Dos Anjos fighting Nate Diaz, 3rd ranked fighter in Dos Anjos. Diaz is coming in ranked 14th. For me, Diaz has a lot on his plate lately. He's come out against CM Punk. He's come out against the Reebok deal. He missed the open workouts. He just seems like there's a lot more that he's dealing with than just the fight game. Came in heavy today at 160 pounds. Obviously, the limit is 155 for a lightweight contest. So for me, I just think Dos Anjos is surging right now. He just knocked out local favorite Ben Henderson in spectacular fashion. I think that Nate sort of has some good tools. Obviously, he's got a wide array of skills. He's a volume striker. He's great on the ground. But for me, Dos Anjos has just pitched a little bit higher as far as his skill set goes. I can see him, I don't know if I can see him finishing Nate, but I can see him just beating Nate in every facet. I think that he can get himself around Nate, who is like a straight puncher in terms of the jabs and the crosses. I think he can find holes in there, get Nate to the ground, and stay out of harm's way. So my pick for this one is Dos Anjos. He could finish Nate, just like Josh Thompson did, but I think it's going to be a decision. Either way, Dos Anjos gets his hand raised. Next up, we're back in the heavyweight division. It's 11th ranked Alistair Overeem taking on 15th ranked Stefan Struve. This is the sort of fight where things aren't really how they seem. So if you look at a guy like Alistair Overeem, he's a big guy. You know, you think that you can hit him with a wrecking ball and he's just going to sit there and stare at you, but the chin is gone. He's no longer the fighter he used to be. Guys are taking him out. He got knocked out by Bigfoot Silva, got knocked out by Travis Brown, you know, and the list goes on and on. The chin is not what it used to be. Now for Stefan Struve, same thing. Things are not as they appear. Tallest fighter ever in the history of the heavyweight division, UFC for that matter, 6'11", but he's an in-fighter. He likes to get you close. He works well off his back. So for me, I just don't think that works out for... It makes an interesting matchup. Both these guys want to fight inside. I like Struve's ability to get to Overeem's chin better than I like Overeem's ability to get to Struve, and I think that that's going to cause Alistair Overeem to lose the fight. Struve get his hand raised, and Alistair's going to end up getting his walking papers on this one. Staying in the heavyweight division, this card has sort of been billed as the biggest card in UFC history just because of all the heavyweights. We have Gabriel Gonzaga versus Matt Mitrione. It's a fight I like to call a kill or be killed fight. Both these guys are going to go in there. They're going to expose themselves to punches, to throw theirs. For me, Gabriel Gonzaga is starting to lose that chin a little bit as well. He's in his last 3 fights, he's beaten Sean Jordan and Dave Herman, but he lost to headliner Stipe Miocic. So that's problematic. I like Mitrione in this one just because, you know, in the kill or be killed fashion, Gonzaga is a guy that's going to come out, he's going to try and get you early, and if he doesn't, he's going to fade late. I think Mitrione, being a former NFL player, has a better long-term cardio situation than Gonzaga does. It bodes well for him as the fight moves through the later rounds. It's only 3, but I just think that we'll see Gonzaga fade late, and Mitrione's starting to find his hands a little bit better in recent fights. So I like Gonzaga in this one, or I'm sorry, Mitrione in this one for sure. All right, I want to run through the prelim card real quick. There's a lot of local fighters that are going to be on the card. So we're going to just do some quick hitters real quick of those fights. Willie Gates versus John Moraga. John Moraga is a UFC vet. He's fought for the belt. He's a seasoned guy at this point. He fights out of the lab. He's got a ton of skills. Loves to bang. He's from Maryville, close to here. I mean, he's a true you know, go out on your sword type of guy. He's fighting Willie Gates, who's finished his last 5 opponents, but it's all been outside the UFC. So for this, I just think everything to do with what Willie Gates is facing is just too much to overcome. Moraga's at home, crowd's behind him. and Gates is making his debut. I just think it's too much. But we'll find out a lot about Willie Gates. If he can weather that storm and come out with a victory, then it tells us who he is. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Moraga continues the winning ways. On my picks, John Moraga. Moving over to 170 pounds, we got Joe Riggs. He's fighting Ben Saunders. The story for Joe Riggs is just too much to resist. He has a gunshot wound. He lost his spot on the previous card. It was supposed to be his, kind of coming back to UFC, coming out party, if you will, and he got the gunshot wound and was not able to make that card. But here we go. He ends up fighting in Phoenix, his hometown. It could be a better situation. It's just too much for me to root against. I like Joe Riggs. I think he's going to get in there and bang. Ben Saunders is always willing to stand in there and trade. I think Riggs is going to take this one. I think it's going to be the highlight of his career, and if he wants to hang up the gloves after this one, I think that'd be a fitting end to his career. So good luck, Joe, and that's the way I think it's going to go.
Go.
All right, we're going to go over to the 155-pound division just to talk about local fan favorite Jamie Varner. Jamie Varner draws Drew Dober in this fight. The last time Jamie Varner fought in Arizona, it was out in Glendale, the final card of the WEC promotion. You remember it for the Ben Henderson, Anthony Pettis fight that brought us the Showtime kick. Jamie Varner drew Shane Roller in that contest. Shane Roller found his neck in the first round, choked him out. Shane Roller went on to the UFC. Jamie Varner went on to Titan Fighting. So the last time he was in Arizona, he sort of left a bad taste in his mouth when he was in the cage. This time around, I think that he's in a different place. He knows the importance with the sponsorship going away of picking up some local sponsors and really keeping his name the way it is here in Arizona. So I think that he's going to take Drew Dober out in impressive fashion and keep his name, elevated in Arizona for the foreseeable future. I mean, this is the kind of fight where you have a good fight in front of the home crowd, you become a legend for years to come. So my pick is Jamie Varner. Great fight hidden amongst all the Arizona boys is Derek Brunson and Ed Herman. Ed Herman's a former Ultimate Fighter alum. He was also a Team Quest guy with Dan Henderson, Chris Lieb, and Chael Sonnen, and the list goes on and on. So Ed Herman's been around. However, in this one, he draws a guy in Derek Brunson who's just too much for him athletically. Brunson is faster than he is. All of his components, and that doesn't always make a better fighter, the athleticism, but in this case, I don't think Ed Herman's skills are that great to overcome Derek Brunson's athleticism. And Brunson's got some skills of his own, so I like Brunson in this one, and I think that it's going to be a clear decision at the end. The most intriguing part of fight week for Henry Cejudo might have come today here at the weigh-ins. He lost his last opportunity to make his UFC debut by not making weight. Today, he did make weight. He draws Dustin Kimura in a fight where I think this may be the fight that sort of puts us back on thinking that Henry Cejudo can be a real legitimate threat, in the UFC. He's a former gold medalist. He's got some hands. He's sort of like Aaron Pico a little bit, the guy who was just signed by Bellator. He's that prospect where you think everything sort of aligns for this guy to be a great UFC fighter. We haven't seen it yet, obviously, because he didn't make weight. Many people have questioned his dedication to the sport. That's unclear at this point. He made weight today. He's on schedule to fight tomorrow. We'll see what he does with Dustin Kimura, and we'll see how his career moves forward. My pick is Henry Cejudo, so that we can get a look at who he's supposed to be and move him forward in the UFC. All right, fight fans, that's Sean Franklin here for Cage Pages. We're going to get out of here. This is UFC on Fox 13. Site of the weigh-ins. Everything went great again. Nate Diaz missed the weight. He's coming in at 160 pounds. He'll lose some money. Money's a huge issue for him as it is. I'm sure he hates getting doc pay, but it is what it is. So tomorrow night of the fights, we'll give you some more coverage. We'll be live tweeting at the Hot Cage Daily, at Cage Pages FS, and we'll bring you all the best fights and all the best coverage this weekend.